live stream should be live right now. Um, Fingers crossed. So I'm just gonna wait a few seconds, or wait a minute or two for people to join. But if you're joining right now, I hope you're doing well. I hope your Halloween was good. Um, Let me know if you did anything for Halloween. I dressed up as the Dayman from It's Always Sunny. But yeah, let me know if you're just joining how Halloween was. And then we'll start. We'll get into week 5 of the Age of Revelation book. I finally sort of caught up with my live streams, which is good. Um, but yeah, so I'll just wait a minute for people to join. I can't see who's watching. I only can see the chat. So if you're here, let me know in the chat, and then we can start. Because I don't want to just be talking to myself. That would be no fun at all. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. And also, as I'm going through the live stream today, let me know your thoughts on Age of Revelation as we reach the final week of the first. This is the final week of the first month, so we're a third of the way done already, which is kind of scary thinking how fast things have gone. Already a month down, 2 months left. So I'm just curious how people are feeling about Age of Revelation as a whole. But yeah, let me know. So we'll get into it there. Right, I'm just checking. Everything's working. Brilliant. Okay. Right, let me just check that everything is set up properly. We've got the spoilers, and then we'll go through the books. So the books this week are, just so everyone knows, are Expatriate X-Men. We've got Cloak OR Dagger. We've got Undeadpool, and we've also got X-Vengers. So no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers in terms of what my ranking will be and how I like them all. Interesting mix. That's what I will say before we properly get into it. But I don't think I will delay any further. I might as well just get straight into the books now. So, of course, spoilers. The first book I'm going to be talking about this week is Expatriate X-Men. So, Expatriate X-Men is written by Ewing with art by Francesco Mortarino. So, Ewing obviously had been writing the Exceptional X-Men book, which had Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, and some new characters. And Francesco Mortarino had been doing NYX, which was the book with Miss Marvel and Wolverine and Sophie Cuckoo. So the fact that Miss Marvel's on this book, it makes sense sort of as a collaboration of writing and art. So Expatriate X-Men pretty much opens with Bronze, Miss Marvel, and Rift on a mission. They are at the border between the Revelation territories. Obviously, that's the mutant land here. 10 years into the future, between the Revelation territories and the USA, because the Revelation territories are within the USA. So they're at this border and they're looking to rescue someone. Now, the other sort of important character in this book is Rift. He was sort of introduced in Exceptional X-Men originally as like a very, very minor character. But he was the crush of Bronze, but right near the end of the original story, it was revealed that he is also a mutant and he can create rifts in time and space. And he accidentally sent Kitty Pryde all the way back to 1980 when she was a 13-year-old. So, and so he's pretty powerful, to be fair. If he can send someone back like 20 years, well, 50 years, but in terms of like the timeline in the Marvel Universe. So basically him, Miss Marvel, and Bronze are on this mission to rescue a mutant from the militarized zone of America, and they find him. His name is Lyrebird. We don't know anything about him other than that. But essentially, this mission sort of goes a bit hodgepodge. They get found by the sort of soldiers, and then have to fight their way out. But during their rescue mission, their Lyrebird, the person they're rescuing, gets shot, and he dies. So you think, oh great, well, the mission's over. Mission failed. We'll try again next time, except it's real life. But turns out, because Rift, as I said, can create rifts in time and space, they do this very cool thing, and I really enjoyed this, that they use his time portals to just go back in time and do the mission again, which is just so fun. So it's just a case of, it's literally like a game where you play it one time, you mess it up, you try it again, knowing everything that you know. So they rescue Lyrebird, and it goes well, and they teleport onto the ship that they're on. They have a flotilla essentially, and they're on this ship that's like traveling across the Mississippi River. Now, again, I don't know my American geography, but the Mississippi River obviously goes through Mississippi, and I think it goes pretty far north. But anyway, the Mississippi River is like the western border of the Revelation territories. Like that's where the Revelation territories has reached. And we also see some other people that are involved in this, in the flotilla. We've got Dupe, we've got Blob, we've got Toad, and we've got North Star as well, which is interesting to see. And we've also got Melee here, who's sort of the captain of the ship. And it's also as well cool because they're like under attack. Rift and Melee use their powers together to literally teleport the entire ship across across the country, pretty much, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, they have this whole flotilla of ships, which yeah, is just pretty cool, pretty prevalent to things right now, which is what X-Men is all about, really. If we're not commenting on things happening now, then what's the point? What's the point of X-Men? Really. So yeah, so they rescued this person, but there's a bit of discord between the group because not everyone agreed on rescuing them, and it was a pretty close call, right? So there's a bit of tension. And we also see that they're also taking orders from Mystique, which is so random. She's got this new design. She's not got a bob anymore. A, she's not got a deadly bob. She's shaved her head. But yeah, so she was the one that sort of ordered them to rescue Lyrebird. We're not too sure. We're not too sure what his whole deal is, but I think he's got some intel that they want. So yeah, but there's a bit of strife between Melee and Miss Marvel. We also don't know how Miss Marvel came to be on the team with the Expatriate X-Men, but there we go. And then in a final twist, among all the other twists, we find that Melee is actually working for someone else, and even though they need to deliver Lyrebird to the Limbo Lands, which is near Canada, I think, or Rhode Island, I think. It's been revealed in Amazing X-Men 2, which is coming out next week. Melee has other plans and has been ordered by someone else to make sure that he doesn't reach the Limbo Lands. So everyone wants to get in there except the captain of the ship. So I guess it's a bit like traitors, really. Got someone setting up everyone else. Who she's getting orders from, I don't know. Now, I will say, on the cover, we see that Colossus is part of the book, but he's not in this issue. So maybe he's the one she's receiving orders from. I guess it would make sense because like the Limbo Lands is like ruled by magic. So maybe there's something there. I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's the end of the issue, and I think it's a pretty good twist that there's like some internal strife. Um, yeah. So yeah, I thought this was actually really strong. I think this is actually maybe even stronger than most of the Exceptional X-Men. Like I really enjoyed Exceptional X-Men, but my one gripe with Exceptional X-Men was that sometimes it felt a bit slow plot wise. Like it took 10 issues to deal with Mr. Sinister. Like he was sort of obviously established. Obviously, yeah, it just everything felt so extended, which in today's comic industry where, you know, you get 10 issues and that's it. It didn't really work. But this issue was action packed. We got new characters, we got cool use of the powers. It was everything I'd want. So if only Exceptional X-Men was a bit more like this, but I love it. And obviously these series are only 3 issues long, so we got to get to it. But yeah, so that's Exceptional X-Men. If anyone is in the chat, not Exceptional X-Men, sorry, Expatriate X-Men. If there's anyone in the chat, let me know what you felt about the book, what you're feeling about obviously the different characters, the fact we've got, the fact it's like the Exceptional X. How do you feel about it being the Exceptional X-Men kids plus Miss Marvel? And if you've got any ideas on who Melee is taking orders from, and if you have any guesses on what is Lyrebird's whole deal, that'd also be pretty cool. My one thought is maybe is he like Shah related at all? But I feel like that's too obvious just because he's a bird, like he's got bird in his name, he's got the like is he related to Death? What if Lyrebird is Deathbird's son with Vulcan? I mean, I don't think it would make much sense. Why is he blue? But imagine that. Imagine that. I'm just putting that out there. I don't think they would do that. That's too crazy. Um, but yeah. So that is Expatriate X-Men. Strong. I like that. Right. And with that being done, let me just get everything set up for the next one, which is Cloak or Dagger, which, if you couldn't tell already, is Marvel Rivals synergy to a T. Just complete synergy. But you know what? Not all synergy is bad. And I think maybe this is an example of it. So Cloak or Dagger is written by Justina Ireland, with art by Lorenzo Tometa. Um, and when I say Marvel Rivals synergy, if you haven't played Marvel Rivals, which you might not have, essentially it's a 6-person shooter, I think they call it, and Cloak and Dagger are one playable character in the game. So you don't play Cloak and Dagger separately, you play them as one, and essentially you switch between them. So in the game lore, they've been intertwined, so they can't exist on the same plane, and they swap. And essentially that is what's happened here, which is why this is blatant Marvel Rival synergy, but it's a fun premise. I don't think it's ever been done with them before. I know they've swapped, you know, light and dark before, but I don't think they've ever been intertwined like this. But yeah, so we essentially open in St. Louis, Missouri, which is apparently the edge of the Revelation Zone. Again, geography is not my strong point, so I'm not going to pretend that I know where that is, really. And Dagger is helping the army there. But as we see, um, they swap between each other. They also have like they have this like telepathic connection as well. So they just sort of speak to each other in their heads, and they can swap between each other, which is pretty cool. Also, the art is really cool. I like this like effect of like the merge between them. So yeah, they're fighting some runaway mutants, I think, from the edge of the Revelation Zone, and there's obviously people trying to escape not the Revelation Zone, the Revelation territories, and there's people trying to escape the Revelation territories. And as we see, the big bad of this 3-issue miniseries is none other than Fenris, which is crazy. But I kind of see the vision. I kind of see the vision. So for those people that don't know who Fenris are, they are the children of um, Baron von Strucker, who is a Hydra agent Nazi. In the MCU, he was the one responsible for making Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, or giving them their powers. Um, but yeah, in the comics, he made sure his children had mutant had mutant genes, and so we have Fenris, and so we have Andrea and Andreas von Strucker. Lou, hi Lou. What show were the Nazi twins in again? They were in a fun fact, because I was going to mention this as a fun fact. They were in the X-Men show The Gifted, and it was odd because they were the Andreas Andrea Andreas was the father to the father of the the children in the show. Like the main children in the show were the grandchildren of the Fenris twins, and they had the same power ability where they have to, if they touch each other, they can like they have their own powers, but if they touch each other, they're more powerful or something like that. And like yeah, the thing about the Fenris twins is that they are a bit incesty. Like no, they're not a bit incesty. They are incesty. I'm pretty sure it's sort of thought among things that if you know anything about Game of Thrones, that Cersei and Jaime were maybe inspired by the Fenris twins. So, but anyway, yeah. So they're the big bads of this book, and they are fighting. They just sort of ambush these soldiers, the U.S. Army, what have you, and they kidnap these people that are trying to escape. They go on the bus and they bombard everyone with this energy. Somehow they have the ability to mutate people as well. So I don't know whether because that's not their powers initially. Like I think they're both energy-based powers, but I wonder whether maybe they were exposed to the X virus, and so part of their thing is that they can mutate everyone else, but basically they just kidnap these people on the bus and just expose them to the X virus. And as Dagger finds out, they've been turned. Well, some of them have turned into mutants. So this guy is a bit goblin-like. But yeah. Now the other interesting thing about Cloak and Dagger, in this story is that they're actually married. Like they got married. I don't know whether we haven't found out whether that's before or after they got intertwined. But as it's revealed here, wherever they go, um, when they switch places, is this room, this house. I don't know if it's another plane of existence, but they have a child together, which is crazy. Um, and so clearly they like swap between, and I guess is it like when they were intertwined, like Dazzler, Dazzler, Dagger, sorry, gave birth in this other plane, so their daughter was just stuck there. I don't know. That's a bit sad. Like, and it's just sad, really. If it like if the person you love, you can't really spend time with them. That's just so sad. But yeah, so they have a daughter in this future. She looks maybe 8 or 9, so probably quite early on into the future. But that's the other surprise. And then what was the final thing? Oh, so essentially, it turns out that Fenris have been um, going around and mutating different humans, and I guess they've started their own school called the New Asylum. Um, Interesting. Nazi twins as head teachers of a new mutant. Well, I don't think it's really a school, but I guess a new training facility. The one interesting thing about me, about this is that I don't know. I always think of Fenris as like they are mutants, but they're more Nazis first and foremost, if that makes sense. So they'll always pick being like pure. They'll always use being a mutant to their advantage, but they don't really care about being mutants. So it's interesting here that they have sort of decided to be all about mutants. But I suppose it makes sense considering, obviously, the Revelation territories, there's being a mutant utopia, they have all the power. So I guess that makes sense now I think about it. But yeah, and that's where it leaves off, is that I guess they're taking on, they're going around and they're just making more humans into mutants. And that's it. And I thought this was an interesting first issue. Like, I think it was good. Actually, I think it was good. It surprised me. I think I had low expectations, but I think it was quite good. I think, as I said, I think the Marvel Rivals synergy of it all with the swapping um places is interesting. It's like an interesting concept, and the whole thing with their daughter and then being married. I hope we get to see more of that in it further issues. And I understand. I guess Fenris is like a dark mirror to them in a way of like they're connected. But yeah, it's interesting. And I think the art again looks really good. So, and you know what? Maybe we should go back because, you originally Cloak and Dagger weren't mutants, and then they were made mutants because they had a series that was like the merry misadventures of the mutant misadventures of Cloak and Dagger. So they literally were considered mutants, and then they weren't considered mutants, and then they joined the X-Men. Well, they joined the Dark X-Men, and then they joined the X-Men, and then they stopped, and then they're not mutants anymore. But maybe they are mutants now if they've been mutated by the X. If this has been caused by the X virus, then you know. So maybe we should bring, because of Marvel Rivals, let's make Cloak and Dagger mutants once and for all. You know. But yeah. So that's Cloak and Dagger for you all. And actually, that's just made me realise something I forgot to say about Expatriate X-Men. So I'm just going to go back to that. But if anyone has any thoughts on Cloak or Dagger, if you've got any thoughts on, do they deserve more books? Are there any Cloak and Dagger fans in the chat tonight? Um, but back to Expatriate X-Men. The one thing I was going to say was that because apparently Age of Revelation was planned really early on, like not long after From the Ashes started, originally, initially at that time, um, there was obviously the NYX book, which was written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Langsing. It was the Miss Marvel book, set in New York, obviously. And apparently that duo of writers had their own book that they had planned for the Age of Revelation, and it was going to be called The Exiles, and it was going to be the fact that because Krakoa, or like it was like that Krakoa and local had, or the Krakoa seed and local had like merged into Manhattan, and so it became like a walking island, and that was like it's a separate thing from the Revelation territories, I guess. But obviously NYX got cancelled, so that never happened, and Miss Marvel's here instead. But that's just something I thought I'd throw out there. I don't know how it would have been, but I mean that does sound quite interesting. If like, imagine like New York being its own like island. Just thought I'd mention that here. With obviously that book didn't happen, so it got merged here. But there we go. Right, on to the third book, which is Undeadpool. Um, this book is by Tim Seeley with art by Carlos Mango, I believe. What to say about Undeadpool? I guess I could preface this by saying I'm not like a super Deadpool fan. Like I enjoy the movies, um, and I enjoy him as a character sometimes. It really depends on who's writing him, etc. So, and like I think the most the most I've ever read of Deadpool is the Jerry Duggan run from 2012, which I think is the most popular one. Um, but yeah, a bit of hit, and I've enjoyed like other takes like Ben Percy's take and Cody Ziegler's. Now with Undeadpool, so obviously there's the X virus that's turning non-mutants into mutants or killing them, and it turns out that in the future, Wade Wilson finally gets his wish to be a mutant. As we all know, he wants to be a mutant so bad, and don't believe the lies that the X-Men movies tell you. He is not a mutant. He's not a mutant. He just got his healing factor from the blood of Wolverine, but he's like a mutate. He's not actually a mutant, right? But he finally gets his wish to be a mutant. But because he's a mutant, that means that he is a zombie, right? So, and he hungers for mutant flesh, essentially, which kind of sucks, I guess. And he doesn't. And so in this issue, we get a lot, and as you can see from this page, a lot of captioning. We literally, it's all of his internal voice because as he's a zombie, he doesn't speak. He just goes like pure like a zombie would, yeah. And so essentially, how the story starts is that we're introduced to some new characters who call themselves the Warriors. Um, these are all characters that have been given powers because of the X virus. So we have in the top there we have Magni, who is a Thor guy, essentially. So he's got like lightning powers and he's given himself a hammer, etc., etc. We've got Fantastica, who can stretch. Um, we've got Kid Man Thing, who has like some control over plants, a bit like Man Thing. Um, really original names, I gotta give it to them. Really original, like really thinking out the box here with these names. And the last one is Fearless, who is sort of like a Daredevil ripoff. She is blind, but she has psychic abilities. So that's an interesting spin on that. Anyway, so these four have um, have been fighting, and they've managed to sort of travel through the Revelation territories. And as they mentioned in this issue, they're trying to get to the Expatriate X-Men and the Revolution and the flotilla. So it's quite. I appreciate at least that you know they're sort of referencing other books and other characters. Um, haven't really gotten too much connection in the way of that so far. So I appreciate the shout out to another book that is also this week. But yeah, so that's what they're trying to do, and they've just been fighting against people to get there. But obviously, as I've mentioned, Deadpool is on the hunt because he is on the hunt for some mutant flesh, and mutant flesh he gets. So essentially, the they're all these young superheroes. They're like chilling out, and then Fantastica and Magni sneak off and start making out. And I think Fantastica's actually with Kid Man Thing. So she's cheating on her boyfriend with another one, and while they're making out, Deadpool comes and chops Magni's head off, and starts feasting on him. So that's great. Um, and then Kid Man Thing gets killed next, and then it's just Fantastica and Fearless left, and then Fantastica gets murdered. So we've literally been introduced to four new characters, and three of them are dead within like 5 pages. So that's the sort of book we're getting, you know. And obviously there's a whole load of Deadpool narration, but you don't need to hear about that. So really Phyllis is the only one left. But then because he's eaten 3 people, Deadpool finally, I guess because his hunger has been replenished, he finally gains control of himself and he can actually speak again. So he doesn't end up killing Fearless yet. Obviously he's a zombie and he's probably going to want to eat her sooner or later, but they're stopped from doing anything else because of Cable. Well, Cable's on the hunt for them anyway, and he has been his techno-organic virus has been expanded, and it looks like he's merged with Warlock. Obviously, Warlock is Doug's best friend, who is now Revelation. So there's some connection there, and I think it literally was just announced slash released today that there's a new, as there was like a From the Ashes like book on Marvel Unlimited. And then there was an Astonishing X-Men book that's been cancelled, and now there's an Age of Revelation book, which is sort of detailing Cable's story before this book to see how he got to this way. So yeah, so Deadpool and Cable are going to be reunited, but it looks like Cable is going to kill Deadpool. And you know what? Because he's a zombie that's just killed 3 people, good riddance. But yeah, so that's pretty much Deadpool, Undeadpool, sorry. Yeah, didn't really feel that, but didn't really feel it as much as the others. So yeah, but that's Undeadpool for you. If there's anyone got any thoughts on it, again, you can more than welcome to put them in the chat. But that's pretty much it. Deadpool is a zombie and he kills some people. So yeah, and I'm actually kind of sad because I think these designs are quite cool, and obviously this is set 10 years into the future, so we're not going to see these characters again, but I thought some of their designs were interesting. Particularly, I think Fantastica and Fearless. I think those are the 2 most interesting ones. So the fact that Fantastica's dead, we lost someone, but there we go. What? Oh, I see Lee's comment. What role do you think Deadpool should have when he inevitably ends up in the X-Men reboot? You know what, Lou? I don't think he should have a role. No, no. I don't know. I just fear. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because obviously they're not going to reboot Deadpool, are they? They're just going to keep Wade Wilson. They're going to keep Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, aren't they? So maybe if I mean, I don't know. He'll probably be like an X-Force film if they do one of those, but maybe that's too dark for Disney. Um, I I don't know, but what I will say, I don't want him to be like a narrator or something like that. That would be dreadful. Imagine if he was like the narrator of the movies. No, he should need to stay in his own little corner, and then sort of he can pop up in like big events, big like events, but like I don't want to see him that much. I don't know. What do you think, Lou? What do you think his role should be in the reboot of the X-Men? Which again, I'm afraid of. I swear they've announced that that's coming like in like 2028 or something. That's scary close. Um, this should not be happening, you know. But oh well. Doo -doo -doo. Okay, that one's done. So now we're already on to the final book. I feel like I've been speeding ahead today. Yeah, but we're on to the final book now, guys. So that is X-Vengers. Very interesting Very interesting. This is X-Vengers by Jason Lowe, with art by Sergio Davila. And you can pretty much tell what it is by the cover. It's essentially, and by the title, it's, well, you think it would be X-Men Avengers, but really it's Avengers with no, it's an Avengers book with Avengers that have been mutated by the X virus. So I guess they're technically mutants. Um, it's interesting. And obviously, as you can see here, Danny Moonstar is now Captain America. She's got the Captain America shield, which is interesting. Yeah, interesting is what I'm going to say, just because I feel like, I don't know, I'm not the person to, I'm not, I'm not the person to sort of, it's not my experience, but I feel like it's just interesting choice to have a Native American woman be Captain America, or have the Captain America shield, considering, everything with how America has treated Native American people. So that's an interesting choice, but I'm here for Danny Moonstar in leader roles. Always, I think she should have been a what do you call it? She should have been on the Quiet Council, right? She should have been on the Quiet Council. She should have had a leader role. Yeah, she's been underserved in that capacity for decades now. But should she be Captain America? I don't know whether she would take up the realistically, I don't think she'd take up the Captain America role, but it is what it is. It has happened, so yeah, there we go. So, but you might be like, why has she taken the Captain America role? Or the Captain America, how has she ended up with it? Well, as we see, over in Seattle, Washington, there's a statue of Steve Rogers because, so she has the Captain America mantle because Steve Rogers is dead. I think he was killed by the X virus. Don't think it's made too clear. But they're all here at his like statue memorial with the other X-Vengers, which I suppose I could go through. Or actually, I'll go through them when they get up there in the thing. But basically, Danny was with Captain America when he died, or with Steve, I should say, when he died. So, and he was like, "You gotta keep the good fight up and be Captain America for me." So she's got the shield now, which is kind of crazy. And then you might be thinking, what's happened to Sam? Why is he not, why is he not Captain America as he has been? Well, turns out he's actually the president of America. So whatever's left of America, which is like, so he's, I guess, in San Francisco. Oh, and actually, Seattle, Washington is not part of the Revelation territories. This is still America. Um, but San Francisco is now the capital of America because Washington, D.C. was exploded by Revelation and the Vanisher. So yeah, but essentially she's now Captain America and she's leading the Avengers. They're not actually called the X-Vengers in this, but I think it's a title, a joke title that they've been given to mock them because they're all mutants. But as we see, there's actually a Kree fleet of ships coming to attack Earth, and so the Avengers, or the X-Vengers, go to rescue them. And as we see, it's actually attacking Philadelphia, which is the capital of the Revelation territories, and they still go and save the Avengers. Still go and stop, well, fight the Kree anyway. So even though the Avengers are sort of maybe based in Washington, they are also sort of fighting for Revelation. They're fighting for the whole world. They're fighting for all of America, Revelation territories, America, everything. They don't have any bias in that regard. So here we go. We'll get to the who's on this X-Vengers team. So first of all, we've got Shang-Chi, who, yeah, who it's cool to see him on the team. I want to say this kind of gives me the vibes of like undead Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat. Like he has the same sort of like same effect on his skin and things. But he obviously he's a master of kung fu, but now his mutation is that he's like incredibly strong. So even like one tap is like deadly. So he has to like retrain to combat his extreme strength. We've also got Black Widow or Natasha, who is actually now going by Water Widow because she's just made of water. So yeah, Water Widow I guess makes sense. Incredibly unoriginal though, I will say that. Like, girl, you could have come up with something better than that. Like, I don't know, actually. But you get the point. We also have Scott Lang, Ant-Man, who is now called Variable Man because his body is like mutated, and so he can like change the density and the size of different parts of his body, I believe. I don't know, it's not too clear, but he's just like mutated and like this big Quasimodo like guy. Quasimodo, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Are they the same? Yeah. Um, we also have Vision, who has been much like Cable, has actually been merged with the Technoky, with Warlock, with the techno-organic virus. Not too sure how that's happened. We also see as well Hawkeye, who has 6 arms. He's very spiral coded with this. So he's got multiple bows, which I guess is useful. But yeah, he's got six arms, and then we also have, as I said, Danny Moonstar, and the other actual mutant or original mutant is Cannibal, so who has also been a previous Avenger, so that makes sense. Um, but yeah, so essentially they're fighting the Kree to save Philadelphia, and then when they're doing it, they actually come across um, some of the more Seraphim. So as I've discussed in previous live streams, the Seraphim are uh, Revelation's enforcers. They're his police force, and we meet a few more here. We have the big one really is Roberto. Oh no, I thought we'd have another page of that. We don't. So the big one here is Roberto, or Sunspot. You know, Cannibal's best friend. Yeah, he's one of the Seraphim. He was also a former Avenger. We can also see, I believe that's Boom Boom. And then there's Thunderbird. I was going to say Warpath, but obviously he's part of the X-Force of in Rogue Storm. So I think that's Thunderbird. We've also got Rockslide in the back. First proper confirmation. Like he's not just a cameo. This is 100% Rockslide. First appearance post Krakoa where he's not actually dead. I mean, I think he's in the Hellfire Gala issue, in the Hellfire Vigil issue, sorry. But this is his first speaking role, so Rockside's no longer dead. Woo! It should have been Glob Herman. Just putting it out there again. I've still not gone over it. It should have been Glob Herman. But anyway, and we've also got someone with bold and white, so that could be, honestly, I wouldn't put it past it being Morph, just for like X-Men 97 synergy. But anyway, so these are more of the Seraphim. But one thing, while they're all having this little, catch up, yata yata, because also the Seraphim are like, oh, you guys, you should join us because you're all mutants, but they don't want to because, Revelation bad. It is also kind of funny that Danny and Sam don't have stronger thoughts about what Revelation is doing. Obviously, Cypher was a new mutant with them. And so it's interesting that they're sort of more trying to be neutral, the whole thing, which I just don't feel like is their vibe. Maybe Sam, but I don't think Danny is someone to remain like impartial in those sort of instances. She'd be very much like Sam of like, no, this is wrong, da 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 da, right? But who am I? Anyway, they don't notice that there is some red techno-organic virus lurking in the background, and variable man gets consumed by it, and he's like, rah, rah, and essentially he dies. And then it looks like the Seraphim are gonna fight the Avengers, and that's it. But yeah, Scott Lang is dead, R.I.P. But he can be with his daughter again because, as it was revealed in the beginning of the issue, a lot of the loads of people are dead, obviously, including Cassie, Stature, and some of the other young Avengers as well. But that's how it ends with Scott Lang dying. So to any young Avengers fans out there, no, to any Scott Lang fans out there, um, I'm sorry, but yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the issue. So yeah, yeah, that's it. What to say? Well, I think there's some interesting things about this book. I think their lineup is interesting, but I'm just a bit disappointed that there's only two mutants, and the rest are Avengers who've become mutants. I mean, and that's interesting in itself, but I just wish it was more of a X-Men who have become Avengers thing. But maybe that's just my bias. But yeah, so that's all for books. So if you've watched a live stream before, then you should know what time it is now. It's time for the ranking. Woo! This one I think is going to be a little bit easier, and I'll go through, why I'm ranking each of them the way I am. So as we start with the book in last place. And if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or watching it back in the playback, you can always put your ranking of the week's books down below, or in the comments, either or. But in last place, we have, drumroll please, maybe a surprise. Let me know if it's a surprise. I don't think this is a surprise. It's Undeadpool. Woo! Like, I just didn't care for this book. Yeah, I don't know. Just too much. I don't know. I just didn't think it was. It just wasn't for me really. Like I was still with the next ones, but like I don't know. I guess Wade as a zombie is cool, but then it's just a whole load of captions, and he doesn't actually speak a lot. Like that's like, oh, yeah. And then the fact that we have all these new characters, and they all got murdered off, which I guess is part of it. But it's just like, ugh, really? I mean, we're not even gonna. These people are gonna be gone in three. What? But then I guess these people are gonna be gone in 3 issues. So what is even the? I don't know. But I guess that's an interesting concept. But I just didn't really care for it. And hi boy, how are you? I hope you're good. Stay Deadpool, more like, yeah, yeah. Please stay dead. No, but yeah, it's not really my, just yeah, not really for me. Really, I just felt like, just look how much talking it is, and I guess it's part of Deadpool's thing. But like, girl, I don't want to read all that. Not Deadpool anyway. But yeah, so maybe a surprise to some people. Let me know if you really enjoyed this book and why you enjoyed this book if you did. I'm curious to hear that. But yeah, Undeadpool goes in last place. Right. In third place, we have. Let me just check. I put it on. Yep. Okay. In third place, we have X-Vengers. Woo! So yeah, X-Vengers. As I said, as I literally just said, I think it has an interesting concept, but like, I think Danny being a leader is cool. I'm happy for that. But like, why is she Captain America? First of all, why is she Captain America? I don't think she would take up the Captain America mantle. No, just let her be Moonstar. That's her. Like I don't know. It just feels a bit something that she wouldn't do. But it is what it is. And then again, I think the idea of all the Avengers being mutant Avengers is okay. I like that we saw some more of the Seraphim. I don't know, I'm just a big fan of being like, oh my god, I'm looking at like what other characters, more minor characters are doing and what they're up to. Always love that. But I didn't really care for this whole like fight the Kree. But it is interesting to see what what this whole techno organic virus thing is, I guess. But even though I just didn't, it didn't blow me away. But I won't say this wasn't as bad as the Dazzler stuff in the Hellfire Gala or the Dazzler solo book, which Jason Lowe has written in both things. Like, I don't think Jason Lowe is a terrible writer. I think this is an improvement on that. So, yeah, it's just not really my thing either. But I think it has more interesting things for me personally than Undeadpool. So that's why it gets third place. And we said she should be leading the X-Men, not the Avengers. Exactly. Like, she should have been on that Quiet Council, Joan Krakoa. But yeah, so yeah, I just don't think she should have. I don't think she would have taken up the mantle, A. And but then I'm like, oh, I guess if Sam, is the president, I guess. But it just doesn't make much sense. Oh my god, hi Laurie, hi, how are you? I hope you're good. Um, but yeah, so it doesn't really make much sense, but there we are. So that's why X-Vengers is in third place. So now we're to the top two. If you if you if you know me, you'll probably guess what's second and first place. But in second place, we have oops, spoilers. We have Cloak or Dagger. Um, yeah, I think this book surprised me in terms of I didn't really have high expectations for a book that's obviously just pure Marvel rival synergy with the whole Cloak or Dagger thing, but I actually think it's quite an interesting concept. I think the art is actually really cool. Like again, I'm just obsessed with the way that you see the switch between them. Um, that's pretty interesting. I think having Fenris, because they're like incest Nazis, they're a very good villain to like just have that you can hate, you know? Like they're a lot like Red Skull in that way of like there's no you don't need to like make them sympathetic or anything like that. They're just like evil. But yeah, but I just think it's just an interesting sort of mirror to the whole Cloak and Dagger thing that they're like well, Cloak and Dagger aren't twins, but they're like very interconnected, you know. So that's interesting. And also the whole thing with like them having a daughter. Okay, whoa, Cloak and Dagger having a daughter. Okay, um, I'm assuming it's their daughter anyway. Um, but yeah, so that's interesting, and yeah, so I'm actually kind of surprised by Cloak and Dagger, but pleasantly surprised, and I'm rooting for Cloak and Dagger to become mutants again. Um, yeah. So Cloak and Dagger, um, you did well. Cloak or Dagger, you did well. You were second on the pyramid today. Well done. And we said Marvel banking on they take on the Captain America mantle because they shouldn't. Um, when we all know they only want one Captain America. Exactly. Like it just feels a bit like a stunt. It's like it just stunt. It's a stunt because we all know that they just will have Steve Rogers. Even yeah, like yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's just. Ugh. Anyway, Bori, which team you like best from the universe? Well, Bori, my favorite team from the universe is obviously the X-Men. Now, I guess you won't know this, but all these books here are there's like an event going on where it's set 10 years into the future, so things are a bit different. But my favorite team is the X-Men. I don't, I mean, I don't mind the other ones, but the X-Men are the best. So like, Wolverine and Storm and Professor X and Magneto and all those characters. But yeah. And so then, there we go, finally in first place. is Expatriate X-Men. Shouldn't really be a surprise. You know, I was a big fan of Exceptional X-Men when that book was coming out. And I enjoyed, I think Francesco Mortorino's art from NYX is really good as well. And actually, I think Expatriate X-Men is a step up, as I was saying earlier. I think it's a step up from Exceptional X-Men. It's got it's got the character stuff, it's got the dynamics, the relationships, but it's also just got the action, which Exceptional X-Men was sometimes lacking. And it's fast paced. It's fast paced in a good way. It's not too fast, but it's not slow either, which I also feel like was the main problem with Exceptional X-Men, was like the plot was a bit slow sometimes. We got right to it. We saw them use their powers in an interesting way. The whole thing about, oh, we're gonna get in to rescue this person, but oh no, the person got shot. Okay, well, we'll just use your rifts in time and space to go back in time and do the mission again. How cool is that? I think that's such an interesting, um, like a cool use of powers. The one thing I'll say though, I realized I didn't mention this earlier. We know that Rift, the one that can make these portals, can literally take people back like decades. Like he literally accidentally teleported Kitty Pryde back to 1980, right? So why couldn't they just go back in time to before the Age of Revelation and stop this from happening? See, that's why before the event began, I thought Rift and his teleportation powers were going to be a key part in like undoing the whole everything, but I guess not. Either way, I thought this book was, yeah, really cool. I think the whole, pirate ship flotilla thing, as I said, pretty relevant to things going on right now, but also just a cool concept. And it feels very X-Men in a way of commenting on things happening at the moment. Which is why the X-Men will always be on the right side of um, history. You know, that's why the X-Men will always be on the right side of history. But yeah, so I think it was really cool. And then obviously the twist as well. The other twist, well, they're working with Mystique, which is love to have Mystique back. Obviously, she got her powers messed up and she was pretty unwell by the end of her miniseries, and Destiny was the one looking after it, like a role reversal. But obviously, she's back. I wonder where Destiny is in this future. Obviously, she knows what's going to happen, so um, and then obviously the big twist at the end, that Melee is actually working for someone else, and even though everyone else has been told by Mystique, oh, we've got to drop this person off in the Limbo Lands, Melee has been told by someone to make sure he doesn't get to the Limbo Lands. So obviously there's that conflict going forward, and it's internal conflict. Oh my God, guys, the team is fighting. No, stop the violence, stop the violence. But yeah. Um, I was afraid they'd have future cop vibes when I look at their designs, but they seem to just be true heroes. Yeah, that's the thing with the Expatriate X-Men, with them and their flotilla. They're literally just um, going, they're going along the border of the Revelation territories and rescuing mutants. So they're just like doing generally good stuff, and but being superheroes as well. And I do actually love that Miss Marvel has teamed up with the Exceptional X-Men as well. I feel like it's fitting. It's fitting for her, I think, to be with these characters anyway. And I think Eve writes a good Miss Marvel, a good Bronze. I think it all just really works really well. So honestly, might be my favorite book of the entire line, maybe. I just think it's so. It was just, yeah, really cool. Such a yeah, just a good book, just a good strong book, art wise, writing wise, action wise. As I said, like this is everything I enjoyed with Exceptional X-Men, plus more action, plus more plot, plus more getting to it, you know. And I think that whole thing with the time powers was a really cool twist. So yeah, loved it, loved it. So yeah, that's it. That's the books of week 5 done. Expatriate X-Men, Cloak or Dagger, Undeadpool, X-Vengers, and that is the first month of the Age of Revelation done. We've done it, guys. We've gone through a whole month. Just 2 more to go. Crazy already. I can't believe we're a third of the way through. But yeah, so that's week 5 done. I'm sorry to borrow you joined like really late because we're at the end already, but don't worry, you can rewatch the rest of it. Obviously in the live stream. I'm not too sure when I'll do the next stream yet, but it will either be Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. It'll be sometime around this time next week. But we're finally caught up now, so I don't have more to do. We'll just be straight on the books that have happened um, in that week, so that's pretty good. I guess let me know either in the live stream or in the comments if you can watch this video back, what you thought of these 4 books, how you would rank them. Always curious what people think. But yeah, and then next week we have, or this week coming, so tomorrow comes out Amazing X-Men 2, Binary issue 2, Long Shots issue 2, and Laura Kinney Sabretooth issue 2. So we're finally getting to the midpoints of the book. So really, this is going to be the test of the event, I feel. Again, I don't think. I mean, Expatriate X-Men itself was really good, but I think the event as a whole still in the middle of the pack, really. But we'll see. There's still time. And yeah, I had noticed something, but I was out. Don't worry about it. It's so good. It's all good. I know people have lives and people are busy. It's all good. And as I said, these live streams are all still on YouTube even after I've done them, so you can still rewatch them all there. But yeah, so I think that's everything. So I guess I'll just leave it there. I don't want to drag things on for much longer if I've got nothing to say. So with that being done, this live stream will be out there now. The next one, as I said, will be sometime next week, and I've also got a Halloween spectacular video. I've actually filmed it now. I'm just in the editing process. Let me just say it'll be vampire related. So that should be out sometime in the next week too, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that. And as I said, I'll post the link. I'll post the the next stream beforehand, like a day beforehand, so people know. Anyway, so just keep an eye out for that. But with that, hope everyone's had a good time. Thank you for anyone who has joined the live stream, even if it has been in the last like 5-10 minutes. It's always appreciated. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next live stream. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.